Hello, everyone. This is your friendly neighborhood council member, Lauren Kuby, and we don't seem to be able to resolve Councilmember Adams' technical issues. So the mayor, Corey Woods, has generously agreed to jump in, so he should be on in another minute, and then we'll get started. Mr. Mayor, are you here? I heard rumors that the mayor is on the call. Am I right? Okay. I'm just going to hang out here because he should be on very soon. And again, folks, really sorry. I see you, Mr. Mayor, so I'm going to get started because I know the mayor is there.
Hi, Councilmember QB.
Well, hi. What are you doing these days?
Well, I was in, but I wasn't elevated to be a panelist, so they just elevated me. So I am here, and it's always good to see you.
Well, I'll validate you as well as elevate you. So thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
The first item on our agenda is actually approval of the meeting minutes from our October meeting. If there's no objection, do we have a motion to approve the minutes as written? Mr. Mayor, do we have a motion?
So moved.
And I second. No objections. So the October minutes are unanimously approved. The next item is item 3, public comments, and we welcome public comments. And according to Arizona open meeting law, the committee may only discuss matters listed on the agenda. Matters brought up by the public under public comment that are not listed on the agenda cannot be discussed by the committee. And we do have a 3-minute limit per person. Kristen, do we have any comment cards for the meeting?
Councilmember Cui, yes, we do. We have one comment card that came in from Barbie Burke. She is actually here in the meeting to speak personally on item 4A2, which is the Climate Action Plan Budget Supplementals. Barbie, you are unmuted and good to go.
Thank you very much. Actually, I was want to talk about the Sustainability and Resiliency Commission priorities. I just wanted to make a statement. I'm a member of I'm the vice chair of the Sustainability Commission, and we've been working very hard on quite a few things. And our leadership in this role here for the city of Tempe has inspired a lot of other cities to come up with climate action plans. And basically what I'm here to say is we've made some great plans, but we definitely are looking for, in this next round of the budgets that you are forming right now, that you remember that for a lot of the items that we're asking for, so that we can deploy a lot of our strategies and make a difference for all the people, the citizens and the businesses in Tempe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbie, and thank you for your service on the Sustainability and Resiliency Commission. Thank you. So the next item on our agenda is item 4A, current items and updates, and we're going to begin with 4A1, regional resiliency update. And I believe Dr. Braden Kay will tell us about that, huh, Braden?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Councilmember QB, and thank you for being here, Mayor. Much appreciated. So I've been here once before to talk about regional resilience, and Mayor, you haven't seen this work in a little while, so very excited to be able to update you on this. Next slide. So one of the things that we know is we are, as a city, are working on community carbon neutrality, but carbon knows no city boundaries. And it's really important that as we tackle our sustainability goals, that not only do we do this work in our city, but we work with our neighbors next door in Mesa and Phoenix and Scottsdale and Chandler and throughout Maricopa County on becoming more resilient and on reducing our carbon emissions throughout the region. Next slide. So with that in mind, we've been working on this idea of how do we do this work at the county level? How might we address the challenges posed by climate change while improving health, well-being, equity, and economic vitality in the region? And we've had some very good work done at the county level with county public health that has done regional resilience work for about the last 5 years. We've seen some good leadership from ASU, but now it's time for us to have a new effort in moving forward on regional resilience and regional climate action. Next slide. So we've designed with collaborators at the city of Phoenix, in the county, within the business sector, a 10-year 4-phase approach to thinking about how we grow our regional collective action efforts. It started with the first phase where we did listening and tried to understand what happened with the original county efforts. Now we're in phase 2. Phase 2 is actually going to be helped orchestrated by Brianne Fisher, who just joined the Office of Sustainability as our Climate Action Manager. You'll hear from her at the very end of this presentation. And so we'll talk a little bit more about what we're going to do in the next year in phase 2. And then the idea is eventually, in order to get the kind of change we need a governance and funding solution that helps fund resilience hubs and cool corridors and cool schools and all the things that we will need to make our region more resilient and able to handle extreme heat and other shocks for decades to come. Next slide. So in phase 2, we see a series of activities that we're going to be doing. Grant workshops, working on community-city partnerships, working on public-private partnerships, and then moving towards the governance and funding solution I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each of these buckets. So next slide. So Brianna is going to be helping work with Ann Richmond at ASU on some grant workshops. We have an amazing opportunity with the federal grants that'll be coming, around resilient infrastructure, around drought resiliency, around electric vehicles. There's going to be a lot of around healthy streets and urban forestry. There are going to be a lot of exciting grants that are going to start dropping in February. And so our office is going to partner with ASU and with this broader initiative to bring in federal agencies and national experts, to support cities and the county in proposal development, to ensure that community-based organizations and target communities, including local tribes, are involved in these grants. And we're also going to work hard to encourage multi-city applications. We're hearing both from the federal government and from national philanthropy that folks want to see multi-city applications. So we'll be doing workshops that help make those connections so that we have really strong grants coming out of Maricopa County and in our region. Next slide. We also know, and I'm so proud of the work we've done here in the city of Tempe on community-city partnerships. So we know that there's an opportunity to work with community-based organizations like the partnership that the city of Tempe has with Unlimited Potential to develop the climate justice agenda and do energy equity. We need to see more of that work throughout the region. So we want to work with local community-based organizations to develop guiding principles that help cities know how to work with community-based organizations. We also have some funding from Vitalist Health Foundation to give out some mini grants that allow community-based organizations to test out new ideas around climate action throughout the county. Next slide. We also know the business community is going to be critical to this work. So, we have a lot of opportunities to really make sure that as cities and communities are working together, that the businesses are supporting that work, letting elected officials know about that work. And we have opportunities to do that within electric vehicles, within green stormwater and urban forestry, within home retrofits. I know the mayor is very passionate about energy equity and people saving, housing being affordable, not just because the home is affordable, but because the energy bill is affordable. And we have a lot we can do to support that work. We also have the opportunity to work on heat relief and resilience hubs, as well as clean energy and clean transportation workforce development. All right, next slide. And all of this is leading towards that eventual future that we can see, that we have some type of long-term regional funding strategy for this work. We know it's ambitious. We know that it might not happen tomorrow, but we need to keep on working towards this day when community-based organizations and businesses and local governments and schools and ASU are all figuring out how we equitably distribute resilience and cooling infrastructure throughout the region. I think that if we're going to be able to have a thriving economies and livable neighborhoods in the future, we have to make some kind of regional investment in this space. And this effort is meant to drive towards that kind of investment and that kind of reality for our region. Next slide. So now, as you know, coming up this spring, we have our budget supplemental process. And I just wanted to flag for you that there are some opportunities for us to invest in personnel and programs that help support this regional resilience work. So there's going to be a budget supplemental for a policy and grant coordinator that would work with Marge and Brianne on helping us orchestrate our efforts around bringing down these federal grants. They also would help coordinate with different cities and with community-based organizations to make sure that we have really competitive grants. I will tell you, as I'm doing work around the country and talking to a lot of my colleagues, cities are gearing up for this. Denver, Salt Lake City, San Diego, they're ready to eat our region's lunch when it comes to these grants. So we have to be serious about how we're pulling together really innovative, equity-focused, multi-city grant applications. And we don't really have a person in the city to do that. That would be very helpful. We also have a budget supplemental to help us just further support this regional resilience work, as well as another really critical piece of leadership is there is a need for Tempe to have a cool and resilient master plan that helps orchestrate our urban forestry, stormwater, and urban cooling efforts, and lead potentially to the city having a stormwater and urban cooling utility. That utility that would come out of this master plan would be a sort of test plot for what we could eventually do region-wide, to have a region-wide cooling utility and stormwater agency. So those are kind of three areas. We can work on grants, we can work on continuing the regional resilience work, and we can use our cool resilient master plan as a roadmap for what actually has to happen throughout the county. So lots of exciting opportunities here. Obviously, it's a very busy and competitive budget season, but we wanted to let you know that Brianne's going to be working hard on orchestrating these efforts, and that we will have some budget asks that could be added to, if you want. And I wanted to give Brianne a little bit of an opportunity to talk about some of the work she's already started in her first 4 weeks in this area.
Hello, good to see you, Councilmember Kuby, and I believe that
Congratulations on your new position.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I believe Councilmember Adams is on, but will just need to be elevated. She can hear. She's in as a call-in. So Councilmember Adams, welcome. Thanks, Braden. I'm very excited to do this regional resilience work. I've had several meetings with our contractor to shape the framework of this. We've met with ASU, and this week we're planning on meeting with a couple more key stakeholders that will really help in moving this strategy forward. So I'm looking forward to doing the work. I'm looking forward to being visible and available in this new position, and looking forward to providing you an update on the regional resilience work in the next coming months.
Thank you, Brianne, and thank you, Dr. K. I'm really pleased about the presentation. We know that our region works best when we work together, and since the time of Greg Stanton And Mayor Mitchell, and now you, Mayor Woods, we've seen real regional work being done, and that's where we have our greatest successes. And I would hope that other cities are going to follow our lead. But I also want to say that, let's say, for example, we establish a policy and grant coordinator and other cities don't. I think there's benefits to the city because we could lead and also have the cost of that grant, the grant development person paid for with the grants, yet, we could lead and still proceed, but not necessarily need individual grant writers from each city. So I'm really pleased to hear about these and obviously want to see them go forward in the budget. And I just had a question for Brianne and Dr. K. Do we have other cities that you're confident are going to sign up and want to work with us? I know Mesa is making great strides in sustainability and resiliency work, as is Phoenix, for example.
Yeah, Mesa and Phoenix are making great strides. We're about to see a new sustainability director in Scottsdale, and we're starting to see some really interesting efforts in Peoria and Chandler and Avondale. I do think that at a certain point, Brianne will be reaching out because it will be important for us to make connections with different council members and make connections, for Mayor Woods to make connections with other mayors. There's going to be a part of this where we're going to have to use all of our relationships and all of our know-how to build this movement. So I appreciate you asking the question, because this is going to take all of us to continue to advocate for, and all of the relationships that we have across different cities in Maricopa County, are going to be important to moving the work forward. Brianne, I didn't know if you have had any additional thoughts to that.
Yeah, I think that Mesa and Phoenix will be key partners in the strategy team, but for the workshops, we definitely plan on including a lot of the other cities that are interested in the region in having this climate infrastructure approach. So one of the main goals of this work is to build the capacity and build some relationships and strengths with our local municipalities. So looking forward to that work.
And I know, Braden, you're a strong partner, and I imagine Brianne will be joining up with the Sustainable Cities Network at ASU's Global Futures Laboratory, and there's a great possibility of connecting and collaboration there as well.
Absolutely. Brianne, you want to take that one? We were on the phone with Ann this morning.
Yeah, we definitely plan on folding in some of the existing fellowships and roundtables that exist throughout the workshop. We plan on having a matrix. One of the goals of the workshops will be to get a very good understanding of the project priorities that are taking place and how existing partners and how existing organizations fold into that work, so that no toes are being stepped on, everybody's folded in and aware, and there's the sharing of the resources that already exist, and there's not duplicative efforts. So that's definitely a part of our awareness going forward in this work.
Well, I know the office that you guys lead has had such a multiplier effect and brought in so many millions of over $2 million for the city. So we know that there's a return on investment beyond all the externalized returns. So thank you so much. And Mayor Woods or Councilmember Adams, do you have any questions for Brianne or Braden?
Well, can you hear me? That's the first question. Okay. Well, hello everyone, and welcome. So sorry about my technical difficulties, but I'm like so excited that Brianne has joined with Dr. K. I just think that you two will make a great team, and I think that it's hard to do it by yourself, Braden, and it's just, and Brianne's such a bright star. So I'm just really excited to see you work in tandem and totally elevate this office. So congratulations, Brianne, and Dr. K. You two will work great, and I'm just super excited about it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. And Mr. Mayor, I know you have another meeting to attend, and you jumped on to give us quorum, but do you have any questions for Brianne, your former aide who left you? Do you have any questions for Brienne or for Dr. K?
I don't actually. I would just echo Councilmember Adams' statement as well that, Brienne did an exceptional job in my office for 18 months, and I served in Mayor Mitchell as well in an exceptional capacity. And I'm just so happy and proud of her for taking on this role with Dr. K and really advancing the city's sustainability and climate change initiatives. So while I'm sad to lose her in my office, I'm really happy that she's doing great public policy work with a great team and working with you, Councilmember Cubie, and you, Councilmember Adams. So I'm just very excited about it and just glad I was able to join you for a few minutes today.
So, Mr. Mayor, if you do have a few minutes, though, we are going to go next to an update on it's 4A2 Climate Action Plan budget supplements, and Braden is going to present again. So if you have any time, just leave
Sure.
the whenever you can, whenever you have to. But Braden, if you want to begin.
For you, Councilmember, I got another 10 minutes for you all the time.
Okay.
So.
Braden's going to speed up his talk then.
I have to go fast. I'm supposed to be in the meeting with the mayor too. So as you all remember, we have a climate action plan. The first one focused on emissions reduction and resilience to extreme heat. Next. So we did our first inventories. We understood that a huge piece of the community puzzle is transportation emissions in addition to our energy emissions. And then we learned a lot about what we need to be doing on the city side. Councilmember Adams knows full well that facilities is a major place to save money and save energy in terms and reduce carbon emissions, but so are outdoor lighting, water infrastructure, and our municipal and transit fleet. So that first climate action plan really helped us understand what buckets we needed to be working in. Next slide. So for those of you that remember, we had 3 action areas, 12 actions, and 4 original highlight actions. For this update, we've actually renamed the highlight actions. We have resilient energy hubs and resilience hubs. We have transportation demand management and mobility hubs. And we have green codes and standards, which includes green stormwater infrastructure and the International Green Construction Code adoption. One thing that's really exciting about this is we've had incredible leadership from our Sustainability Commission in Chair Kendon Young and Vice Chair Barbie Burke and the folks, the chairs and vice chairs before them, in helping us select highlight actions that we're really focusing on and making sure that we're moving forward. And that's really a critical piece of this work. Next slide. Another thing with our update, and this is not a new plan, this is an update to our original climate action plan. We now have 4 stakeholder agendas. We're going to have the updates to the greenhouse gas inventories, and we have our updated policy program and infrastructure recommendations. Next slide. One thing to understand that we know even more about than we did the last time we did our first plan is it is getting hotter in Tempe. The summer of 2020 saw 53 days over 110. That's what our summers are going to look like in the 2040s and 2050s. That's going to be an average summer, very likely in the next several decades. And what that means is we fundamentally have to build our city a different way. We need to be able to communicate and connect in a different way. And we have to be part of the global solution to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And as you know, we have a double whammy here in Tempe. Not only do we have climate change, but we have the urban heat island effect, which for nighttime temperatures makes it 7.5 degrees hotter in Tempe than it does in a rural area at night. So we really need to take climate action seriously because of this compounding effect of urban heat island and climate change itself. Next slide. And we also know that climate change does not affect all Tempeans equally. We've been doing more of an understanding of where heat shows up in our city and who is affected by that. And it does track residents with lower incomes, and many of our residents that are people of color often live in areas that are very heat vulnerable, and that's why we need increased investment in target neighborhoods to address extreme heat in our city. Next slide. So one of the things that I'm really excited about is that climate action has been happening as we've been doing this update. As we've done this update, Local First has partnered with DTA to do water audits and come up with energy and water saving solutions for businesses right in our downtown. Unlimited Potential has been knocking doors and in our community centers and in our parks, talking to residents about extreme heat and energy equity. And they've already been able to start conversations with SRP about how to shift their Empower program to be better during extreme heat days and also be easier for our residents to use. And then we also have, stories like the work that we've done with our sustainable facilities plan and how that's showing up in new lighting in our gyms and in our play fields and making not just a more energy efficient city, but also just a better city to recreate in. So climate action is all around us in Tempe. It's through partnerships and through investments and through deep listening to our residents that we're making change happen. Next slide. So as you all know, we've gone through a listening phase, a planning phase. We're now getting to our review and approval phase. Next slide. You all have seen these agendas before. We worked on the youth agenda. The Tempe Chamber and Local First worked on the business agenda. Unlimited Potential helped us with the climate justice agenda, and ASU and the Office of Sustainability worked together on the neighborhood agenda. Next slide. With time, since you all have seen this before, I'm going to go very quickly through these agendas. This is the youth agenda. Next slide. The major feature here is a real interest in local food, as well as transportation equity. They're also interested in next slide, in cool schools, and increasing green stormwater infrastructure in Tempe, and really working with school boards and school leaders. These are some pictures, some work that we've done through our Cool Kids grant of planting rain gardens and forests at McClintock High School. Next slide. This is the green stormwater infrastructure in the schools. Next slide. With the business agenda, this is bread and butter sustainability work, energy efficiency and water conservation. Next slide. Next slide. Partnerships using the sustainability pledge at the chamber, increasing the involvement of the green business certification, helping make sure the city of Tempe's services like water conservation are being used by Tempe businesses. Next slide. And then also a real interest in transportation, including the opportunity for mobility hubs, increasing our transportation options, working with developers to have less parking and more transportation solutions. Next slide. And deeply grateful for the work of engineering and transportation to promote that work. Then with the climate justice agenda, next slide, there's a real interest in land stewardship, as well as working on heat awareness and upgrade to homes, so cool homes and home weatherization. Next slide. This includes urban forestry and sustainable landscapes. I'll note we have a native plant giveaway at our open house at the library this Sunday. That's part of this work. Next slide. And then also that community-based organizations, the type of partnership in this picture that we did with Unlimited Potential to have them do that deep bilingual listening. We need to be doing that more across the city is what we've heard from our climate justice community. They think that we have the opportunity to hire community-based organizations in all sorts of projects moving forward, including transportation projects, planning projects, other climate action projects. Next slide. And then next slide, they're also interested in Envision Tempe and moving forward this work. Next slide. And then the neighborhood agenda is a review of a lot of these other issues. So we have resilience to extreme heat. Next slide. Partnerships with community-based organizations. Next slide. As well as continuing to work on resilience hubs. Next slide. Now the proposed investments. On the policy side, we need to move forward on building codes. I'm deeply grateful that this council committee is working on electric vehicle building code as well as solar building code. We need to be working with our development community and with our business community on figuring out how to create building codes that work for them, but also promote electric vehicles and promote solar. So there's an incredible opportunity here. On the program side, there's the opportunity to invest in more energy equity programs, making sure residents with low incomes have access to different energy solutions and home retrofits. We also have an opportunity to follow the lead of residents like Ann Gill, who have been working on residential green stormwater by having a permanent green stormwater program that neighborhoods can apply to the city to do these types of green infrastructure investments, such as the one pictured here at Lemon and Dorsey. Next slide. Then there's the opportunity for personnel. So you heard me talk about the policy and grants coordinator. There's also the opportunity to continue the very important work that we've done with the Cool Kids Robert Wood Johnson Foundation neighborhood justice work in terms of having a neighborhood resilience coordinator and a youth engagement coordinator that can help us continue the neighborhood and youth work that we've been doing. As you can see, this picture with Councilman Navarro planting a tree with many local neighborhood residents and McClintock High School students as an example. Then with our CIP budget, there's a need to continue to invest in infrastructure, and not just our own budget, but also look for regional opportunities out of the Prop 400 extension and out of federal partnerships. Streetcar extension, bus rapid transit on rural, more transit shelters, increased funding for more trees and more operation and maintenance for Richard Atkins' amazing program. So this really gives you a sense that from policies to programs to personnel to infrastructure, there are opportunities for us to grow our climate action work in Tempe. Next slide. And then on the city side, we have a similar opportunity. We can invest in our green building policy to have a green building policy for our own city. We'll continue to work on our sustainable facilities plan. We can invest deeper in workforce electric vehicle charging. And I'm very proud, you've already funded an EV fleet roadmap that Tony Miano and the municipal utilities team is working on. And we need to continue to do that EV fleet work. On the infrastructure side, there's an opportunity to invest in more resilient energy hubs. Once we finish with Envision Tempe, there's an opportunity to continue to invest in energy efficiency and retrofit in our city buildings, continuing to look for EV fleets in terms of both our city fleet and our transit fleet. And Grace Kelly and I are always continuing to look for investments in solar as well. So there's a real opportunity for us to walk the talk on the municipal side, and we'll continue to provide you opportunities for the city to both advance policies and programs as well as municipal infrastructure. Next slide. And then this is a review of what we've been doing on the municipal actions. So city buildings, that's a photo of Fire Station 2, which we're building under the Green Building Code. Next slide. Outdoor lighting, incredibly important. Finishing our final investments in LED street lights. Next slide. Water infrastructure. Next slide. And then the fleet work that I've discussed already. Next slide. We also want to highlight, we're not, even though we know we would love more investment from the city itself, we're continuing to work hard on grants. So this is the SRP MIC grant on climate adapted urban forestry that's been helping us do right-of-way projects and work in the schools. We're really proud of that. Next slide. And then I've already mentioned the Cool Kids, Cool Places, Cool Futures grant that's also in the schools called Neighborhood Justice. And we're really proud of the $600,000 grant that has been helping advance that work. Next slide. So with that, we are going to come back to you at council at work study session, where Grace Kelly and the team will be updating you on the greenhouse gas emissions and our official recommendations. There'll be an opportunity for final approval of the update in March. And then there's an opportunity to continue to adopt policies, support programs, invest in infrastructure, and do this continued engagement. So I'm deeply grateful both to both Councilmember Adams and Councilmember Cubey for your support for climate action in Tempe. And hopefully you now have a sense of the types of investments that we can be making coming out of this climate action plan update process. We will be doing a public meeting tonight to go over everything we just went through now, and then we'll be doing the open house on Saturday, where you'll have where residents will have an opportunity to continue to give us comments and ideas, as well as the very exciting plant giveaway. Any Tempe resident that wants a native plant or bush can get one on Saturday between 9 and 11 in the parking lot just south of the library. And if you have a child under the age of 3, you will be able to get 2 plants because that's funded by an initiative that Councilmember QB brought to the city called Healthy Babies, Bright Futures, who've been working with us on the air quality and health benefits of planting shrubs in your yard and at schools. And we're very excited about being able to do that plant giveaway on Saturday. And so with that, any questions you have, I can take them now before I join the mayor in the other meeting.
Dr. K,
The wheelchair will step up. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Councilmember QB.
I'm saying the pseudo chair is stepping back and the real chair is stepping up. Thank you.
Also, I think, Dr. K, we should have, instead of Toys R Us, we should have Trees Are Us. That could be our new slogan. I just thought of that today.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so exciting to have, all of this happening and and I also want to say, Dr. K, that, you did a great job on the NPR story that ran today about the heat resiliency. And I'm just super proud of you. And, Tempe is coming in as a national leader on dealing with the climate issue. And so I just, I'm just super proud of you. And thank you for sharing all this. Unfortunately, I can't see the slides today because of my computer problems, but I'm going to go back and look at them because they sound great. Or maybe you could even send them to me.
Yep, we can handle that.
Okay, that'd be great because I just want to see the slides too. But I just really am pumped about everything that we're doing, and I love the giveaway. So it's going to be south in the south parking lot at the library from 9 to 11 this Saturday, correct?
Yes, and anything you can do to promote the giveaway on social media would be very appreciated because we'll have about 200 plants and trees to give away, and we don't want to have to find a place to store them later that afternoon. So if you can help get the word out, that would be deeply appreciated. And Brianne can be in touch with your staff around helping get the word out. Okay,
yes, I absolutely will do that. So I promise. So thank you for bringing that up, and I'll promote it. And we'll get all 200 of them given away to good homes.
It's wonderful.
And Chair Adams?
Go ahead.
I have just 2 real quick questions, and thank you so much, Braden. I know you got to go. One is, we've seen the young people come forward and say they really want to see us do more with sustainable food production. And you know that my definition of sustainability is eating foods my grandparents would recognize. So given that, what more can we do to have a local food program, like a food forest in Tempe, number 1? And number 2 is, we need to obviously do more serious infrastructure investments. So can you come back in a future meeting, maybe March, and give us some recommendations for what infrastructure requests we really want to emphasize in next year's budget?
Yeah, I think it's a great point on infrastructure investment. We hope to have proposals for continued infrastructure investment in resilient energy hubs and in EV and community charging. We also hope to find ways to continue to have, as we've talked about many times in this group and at the Sustainability Commission, finding a way to increase our investment in transit shelters. We keep on hearing about that, and we're continuing to work with Marilyn DeRosa and the engineering and transportation staff on finding ways to do that. So we'd love to come back to have that infrastructure conversation in March. When it comes to food, it's such a great question. I will say young people and ASU students and residents have been coming to me saying, Braden, why does the Office of Sustainability and Resilience not have a food program? And at this point, it has been about resources. So when you look at the budget supplemental request we're making, there's a supplemental request for a local food entrepreneurship and production roadmap. So that would be a planning process that would allow us to engage businesses and residents and nonprofits on really coming up with a plan for how we grow our local food economy and grow food access in the city. We do have a supplemental proposal for a local food and green stormwater infrastructure specialist. So it's possible we could add staff to help support the work. And then we have some budget supplemental requests for actual pilot projects, such as a food forest pilot project. We have another supplemental for a backyard garden program to mimic the backyard garden program that the city of Phoenix has recently implemented. And my mentor, George Brooks, is an exciting part of that program. They're putting aquaculture and food forests and orchards and different types of projects in people's backyards in Phoenix. And we have a budget supplemental to do that. So there's about 5 to 6 of our 23 budget supplemental requests are around growing a local food program. We understand they won't all get funded this year, but there's certainly an opportunity to invest more in how we approach local food in Tempe.
And I hope there's an opportunity to share with those young people that advocated so strongly that there's this opportunity coming up and the budget is being considered by council, and we welcome commentary from those students.
It's a great point. I think that's something I've been hearing a lot at the Sustainability Commission and you'll hear more from Kendon and Barbie soon. I think there is an interest in making sure those voices are heard for sure. It's a great point.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And Dr. K, I can add that I will be supporting all of your supplemental requests. So just to make it official. So I agree with all of them. So thank you so much for your amazing presentation.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams, and thank you, Councilmember Cubey as well.
You bet. All right, well, now we're going to move on to item 4A3, Green Building Code Update. And I think we'll be hearing from Donna and Dino on this one. Is that correct?
Councilmember Adams, I'll just
Hello?
kick it off quickly, and then yes, Donna has an update that she wants to provide to you. It's exciting to hear Braden talk about all the initiatives that they're working on, and we know that the IGCC is one part of that. And so we've been working to create a roadmap to get us to that endpoint where we know we need to be. And so Donna's going to go through exactly what we've been working on and then how we plan to move forward, including, of course, a supplemental request for additional help as we create this IGCC. So Donna, turn it over to you. Donna, I think you're muted. Can anybody hear her? No?
Oh, it
There
does
you-
work.
Yep.
Hear you now.
Sorry. Okay, here I go again. Thank you, Councilmember Adams and Councilmember Cubey, for inviting us to give this update on the progress made towards a Tempe Green Code. We have scheduled 7 meetings to review the 2018 International Green Code, that's the IGCC, to determine what makes sense for Tempe to include or discard within the code, as this code must be amended. This means going through the code line by line while utilizing a digitally formatted code interface to determine the Tempe tolerances for individual pieces of the 2018 IGCC. Keeping with new technologies in building safety, this is the first time in Tempe history that the digital code format has been used for code development. This review and development is being performed by our Tempe Green Code Development team of Shelley Seiler, Dr. Braden Kay, Dino Accardo, Joshua Rutherford, and myself, with additional stakeholders from differing departments as needed. I wanted to give you a quick example of the amendment process. In Chapter 5 of the code, it states, previously undeveloped land having an elevation lower than 5 feet above the elevation of the 100-year flood as defined by FEMA cannot be developed. So this is already addressed in our Tempe drainage code. So we want to make sure that the code is fully integrated with our current codes and that it does not contradict them. So this particular piece has a potential of removal or amendment. And as far as adding internal stakeholders to the meeting, for example, Craig Caggiano will be our stakeholder assigned by municipal utilities to participate during discussions on water conservation code. So we are currently negotiating a contract with third-party consultant well-versed in green code activities for assistance. The consultant will be integrated into and be part of our code development process and will assist with good green sense and the research applicable to the project that will be needed to inform, educate, and engage the business community, developers, residents, internal staff, this committee, and Tempe City Council. Additionally, the consultant will be helping us build what we refer to as a roadmap of our engagement process and the implementation plan. For this particular contract, we are using the monies granted by council for the IGC fiscal year 21-22. We are asking for an additional supplement to begin July 1st, supplemental, to begin July 1st, 2022, to finish any remaining work in developing the draft and final code and assisting us with reasonable and practical implementation consistent with industry green best management practices. We will be asking to update the green building position through the 22-23 supplemental process to more appropriately match the level of responsibility and decision-making needed for implementation and initial staffing of the program. This request contains an offset for funding approved for the position in fiscal year 21-22. Tempe timeline goals will solidify as we move forward with our consultant, but our tentative goals are, at present and through April, we will continue with Tempe code development and internal code review. In May, we will do, as promised, another council committee update. Should you like that? In June, we're thinking work study session number 1 to present city staff initial draft code, seek council direction to move forward with stakeholder feedback and collaboration. And then assuming that we move forward with that, then July through October would be stakeholder engagement and revision of the draft code. This includes the integration of all internal, stakeholder, and consultant code development input. And then in November, perhaps the work study session 2 as directed. So that is pretty much what we have, and I would welcome questions.
Thank you, Donna. That was an excellent presentation, and really excited that we're moving this green building code forward. It sounds like I'll have more supplementals to support, and I will do that. And I'm sure Councilmember QB will also, but I'll let her speak for herself. Councilmember QB, do you have any questions or
just
comments?
exciting progress, and with the consulting team in place, I'm really pleased to hear that in May we'll get an update, a substantial update on the progress made. I'm really pleased to hear that. And I'm just thinking, when you're here, talk about these months now, I'm going to be gone when you're doing the stakeholder process. And Jennifer, it'll be just you, Jennifer. No, there'll be other council members supporting it, but it's both a delight and, kind of sadness to leave this behind, because from the time I got on council, this was a goal I had 7 years ago. And you're realizing that goal, Donna and Shelley and Dino. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it on a personal level too. I do want to ask though about the community outreach plan. What are the plans for that? What kind of groups are you going to engage in this?
Well, we're going to be working with who I would say who we normally work with. We've got obviously our developers, which would be architects, engineers, and the stakeholders in that area, and then our business people in the valley, and then I'm not sure. There will be more, I am sure. Obviously, internal stakeholders, the public, our residents, probably the normal cross section of what we normally go for.
Would there also be an opportunity to engage, say, with green building folks in the valley? And also I'm thinking perhaps some professors at ASU that work in this arena, and it might be a good, maybe not a special meeting, but to be invited to one of the meetings and give their thoughts. We do have.
I'll make note of that. Thank you.
So that's a great comment, Councilmember Cubey. I like it.
Chair.
You know, okay, well, let's finish up with this item, and then I'm going to go back to the meeting minutes and get approval for those. But I don't want to cut off anybody. So Donna or in company, do you have any comments or anything else that you want to share with us?
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Councilmember Adams, I'd just like to say thank you to Councilmember Cubey, and we look forward to you participating as a resident and helping guide us along the way, because we know you have a lot of interest and knowledge and connections with people that we can meet with. So we're happy to continue those discussions, and we will miss you too.
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. For club.
Yes, thank you, Shelley. Go ahead. Yeah, well, you know where to find you, Councilmember Cubey, and we will do that. So don't think you're getting out of this scot-free. So okay, well, Councilmember Cubey, you want to start with the minutes?
Oh, yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the October minutes.
Okay, I have no objections and second the motion. So the October minutes are unanimously approved.
As written.
So then
7.
as written. Yes, as written. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to go to, I have to go down, sorry, give me a minute. Okay, now we're going to move to 4B, new items for consideration. The first and only item is 4B1, Sustainability and Resiliency Commission Priorities. We have Commission Chair Kenan Young, which I'm excited to hear from and soon meet in person, and Commission Member Barbie Burke here to talk to us today. So Kenan, go for it.
Thank you, council members. I appreciate the opportunity to address you today. First of all, if the earlier presentations don't get you as jazzed as they do me, then not sure what we're doing here, but I am so excited for the route that Tempe is going. Back in 2019 and the days leading up to that, we had set a course to make Tempe a climate action leader and to begin to create a healthy and thriving community for future generations. And I think that the work that has been accomplished thus far is really setting that type of precedent. With the Sustainability and Resilience Commission priorities, we are in alignment with and fully supporting the update to the climate action, which you got a summary of, and the supporting actions coming out of that. And the reasons for this is that when we passed the first climate action plan, it was intended to be, and transparently so, a training wheels plan aimed at creating policy space for Tempe to get comfortable with this work. And everything that was presented to me demonstrates that not only have we accepted this call to action in stride, but it is now causing a ripple effect throughout the valley. This can be seen through the Mesa Climate Action Plan that was just passed, the new Resilience and Sustainability Office being added into the Scottsdale city government, and the Sustainability Action Plan for City of Phoenix, just to name a few. We have been listening to the community, from businesses to youth to nonprofits and to residents, through the development of this update, and the items listed in this update incorporate and encompass everything that they've been telling us, especially that they don't think this plan goes far enough. And I think that that's saying something for the middle ground that we are trying to strike in terms of a balance of what is possible, what is plausible, and what is still feasible to do while pushing the edge. It aims to be bold, it aims to be visionary, and it aims to be transformative. All things that make Tempe a destination for residents, workers, and businesses across the country. And it especially embodies equity, engagement, evidence, enterprise or business, and fiscal responsibility, which are tenets that are throughout how Tempe does what it does best. But I want to remind this group that resilience is small disruptions that allow the system to learn, and that this climate action plan, the work that has been done thus far and the work that we have yet to go, is helping us have the opportunity to try these things, to learn from them while creating a thriving community. And this is why passing the update to the Climate Action Plan is an incredibly high priority for the Sustainability Commission. And it demonstrates the next steps to maturing in this climate action space that will help Tempe secure its leadership among our peers. And we definitely have a lot more to go, which is why our second priority is in the funding of the climate action work out of the CIP budget and the general. And we believe that this is important. You got a quick summary of all of the items that are being put forward, which I would also like to acknowledge that not all of them are just for the Sustainability Office, that these are budgets and asks distributed across the entire government. And I think that that is demonstrating that we as a city are embracing this work. But we think that this is important because civilization is at a crossroads. And in 2021, there were more than $20 billion worth of climate and weather disasters in the United States alone. And because of this, we need to be prepared. We need to be ready. And our leadership in this space thus far will mean nothing without deep and real investments and putting our money where our mouth is. The climate action wave of proactive action is coming. And as you heard earlier from Braden Kay, that there will be other cities that are more far along than we are that are going to be making a real, how to say this, convincing pitch for those resources, both out of local sources, out of foundations, and federal reserves. So if we do not invest now and get the ball rolling, we will not be ready for those opportunities on the horizon. And it's encouraging to me that with a budget or a department of one and almost budget of none, that our sustainability office has already netted $2.5 million worth of grants. Can you imagine what we would be able to do if we were staffed up and executing at full steam? Climate action requests, these climate action requests do not take away from the city, nor does it take away from other departments. Rather, it enhances them. And I think that that is an incredibly foundational piece that we should be moving on. And the commission is 100% behind. The last priority that we had, or that we have, is moving in place low-hanging policy fruit that allow the foundational work for others in our community to take action on. You just heard about the International Green Construction Code, as well as the Low Impact Development Code, the Green Construction Code, and other works surrounding transportation demand management, and the recent success with our resilient hubs. These are important because they support others to do work in partnership with the city. And we can't go anywhere quickly alone. We can only go together solidly to create a resilient future. And the mechanisms that we need as a city to put in place that move these policy adoptions and ordinances forward is our third major priority for the Sustainability Commission. With that, those are our three big areas. The adopting of the Climate Action Plan update, the deep investment in climate action as seen through the budgets that will be coming to you shortly, and the moving of low-hanging policy fruits that enable others in our community to join with us in creating a thriving and healthy future.
Okay.
That's all I got. That was
Councilmember
my
Cube.
spiel. But if you wanted to dig deeper into any of those three, I would welcome any questions.
Okay, Councilmember Cubey, do you have a question?
Not questions, but personal privilege. You know, I first met Kendon Young when I was running my campaign. I met his parents knocking doors way back in 2014. And I got to know this amazing young man. You're not so young anymore, Kendon. You're getting a few wrinkles, but I just saw such potential, and not just potential, potential was displayed. He was a sustainability student, a leader at ASU amongst students, and doing so much. And he became one of the charter members, first members of the Sustainability Commission established in August 2015. And Kendon, you do your family, your community, your university so proud. Not just today, not just in today's advocacy, but in your stewardship of this commission. You are now the chair, and I have to forget, I shouldn't be calling you Kendon, I should be calling you Commissioner, because you are an official in our town, and I respect so much your advocacy, intelligence, your connectivity, and your just ability to put it all together. I'm just amazed. And I do want to say, as there's someone who's departing this council, I've seen such support for sustainability. I've seen it grow and grow. I think my colleagues used to kind of roll their eyes at first, and then they got used to it. And then Councilmember Adams joined me on the council, and it was such a spark of support for sustainability initiatives, because she got it. I mean, she worked on the facility level at the city. She understood the challenges as well as the opportunities ahead of us. So I'm so pleased that we lead this committee. So we've always supported climate action planning unanimously, but then the budget comes and somehow things get pushed away. Yeah, why plant trees now? We don't have that urgent need right this second. Well, you know the Chinese proverb that the best time to plant a tree was 7 years ago. And we need to plan for the future. We need to plan for the climate emergency that we're experiencing right now. And we need to do it in a way that's equitable. In fact, equity has to be the main lens through which we see all of our sustainability programming. So I do see potential with our colleagues, and under open meeting law, neither Jennifer nor I, and because Corey's on this committee, we can't contact the other council members. So we leave it to the community that participated in the climate action planning like no other community. I mean, hundreds upon hundreds of young people and business owners and business advocates and older people and workers. We had so many people participate in this climate action planning. So now's the time where they can see their planning be realized and actually be manifest. So we can't do the lobbying. We urge our residents who participate especially to talk to council members, to engage them in discussion on this really important issue. But the last thing I'd like to say, and it's the elephant in the room, there is a proposal before the council, and we don't even know the substance of the proposal. We have yet to discuss it, even in e-session. And it's on the northeast corner of Rio Salado and Priest. That's all I'll say. But if that proposal moves forward, we have to account for the fact that we need to move our yard, our public works yard, which is on the northeast corner of Rio Salado and Priest. And we would have to, in the next year's budget, take $19 million out of our CIP fund, $19 million of a CIP. Now we get a lot of our CIP funding from bonding. So the bonding that's been approved through, I think, 3 years, we would have to lose about 19 million this year. And the fact is that all of that money would just get sucked out of the room, sucked out of the budget. I don't see how any of these larger investments could move forward if we have to move the transportation, if we have to move the public works yard. So I'm expressing my concern there. There are a lot of interconnections with decisions we make on policy and development, and that is a big one that we all need to consider. And with that, I would just thank you again for all your participation. For Barbie, I know Gretchen's on the call. Thank you, Gretchen, for all you do reaching out to the faith-based networks throughout our region. And thank you to all the commissioners, because you, the Transportation Commission, and the Neighborhood Advisory Commission are so active in giving us advice and counsel and really good ideas. So thank you.
Thank you for those kind words, Councilman or Councilwoman. We are thrilled to be doing this work. The composition of our commission, which is by design reflective of our community, including Tempe residents, members that represent nonprofit organizations and faith-based organizations, business advocacy, businesses recognized for sustainability, etc. All of these are designed because we believe in the community's investment and contribution to this work. And I am thrilled to say that the majority of council I've either already met with or are planning to meet with in the next week and a half, wink, wink, Jennifer, is embracing this work. And
blah, 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 blah.
Well, they are public meetings, but I am thrilled that they are in support of this work, and I only hope that the sustainability, or that the way in which we invest in climate action is more equitable than what has been done in the past. As this committee knows, climate action, what was put forward about a year ago, was cut about 78%, which was more of a percentage reduction than any other item combined. And that is not the type of future that I believe our community is looking for, that there's funding at an equitable level amongst all of the other items that we need to accomplish in order to get the ball rolling. And you're absolutely right. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the next best time is today. And this work is generational. So we are excited to move that forward. We're excited that council members, as well as staff and community members, are joining us in this. Thank you for being able to respond to that. Sorry to cut you off, Jennifer.
Oh, no worries. No worries at all. I want to echo what Councilmember Cubey said about, well, just all of her comments. And I also, this is a matter of life and death. This is, I mean, what we've seen in the last 5 years with all the destruction and the tornadoes and the flood, even the fires. I mean, this, people are dying because of this issue. And I take it very seriously. And I know Councilmember Cubey does too. And I know the commission does also. And I just really, really appreciate you, running with this, Kendon, and appreciate Barbie for this great presentation and for all the work you do on this commission, this incredibly valuable commission. And I just will continue to support it and support the funding needed to move down the road in a positive way with lots of trees. So that's how I feel about it. I feel very strongly about it. I'm looking forward to meeting with you, Kendon. So thank you to all of our good. Thank you to all of our presenters today for some incredible, great information. Councilmember Cubey, do you have any other items for consideration to be added to our future agenda?
I do not. I want to say just the reason why I do not, I mean, we're chock full of ideas, Councilmember Adams, but we recognize that with the budget coming up, we really want to hyper focus on all the enormous work that has been done in this past year and ensure it gets over the finish line.
Absolutely. I concur. So I want to announce that our next scheduled meeting date will be February 23rd at 3 p.m. And I want to thank everyone for being here, and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and sorry about the delay.